Content Introduction. Song Ziyu unexpectedly obtained a mysterious bracelet and traveled back and forth between the civilized world and the wasteland of the apocalypse, watching how magnificent it was. Chapter 1. Mysterious Bracelet to Travel Through Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 4 a.m., Song Ziyu squatted at the entrance of the alley bar smoking a cigarette. The bar was about to close, and many drunken men and women helped each other out. These little girls are all fair and beautiful, exuding youthful energy. Even the old man who wakes up in the morning to sweep the streets couldn't help but take a few more glances, chatting to comfort the disharmony in the life of the elderly couple. But Song Ziyu was completely uninterested, and all his attention was focused on the playboys who drove the car. Song Ziyu just graduated from high school this year and took advantage of the summer vacation to become a black driver, preparing to save up for her college tuition and living expenses. Song Ziyu was born into a difficult family. His father ran away from home when he was young, and his mother was bedridden due to a long illness. His younger sister was still young and needed more care, so he could only rely on himself. Song Ziyu's goal was to be a drunken young man. He was seen holding his seductive little sister and walking awkwardly towards his banquet. Song Ziyu quickly went up and asked, "This handsome guy, do you need a driver's seat? Get out of here, can't I drive?" The young man cursed with a drunken expression. Song Ziyu blushed and said, "Handsome guy, you're not interested in driving after drinking." Pop. A strong wind is blowing. Song Ziyu firmly slapped him. Who the hell drank? Did you see that? Stinky driver, I'll tell you, talk nonsense, I'll blow your dog's head. The young man cursed with his dead fish eyes bulging. Song Ziyu covered his face and didn't dare to talk back. The second-generation ancestor, who could open a banquet to provoke his sister, would definitely not be able to provoke him. This bad breath could only be swallowed. Fortunately, the girl in the arms of the second ancestor was not bad. She even deceived and comforted her to help her out of the encirclement, allowing the enraged second ancestor to board the carriage. Encountering this unfortunate situation, Song Ziyu was in a bad mood and could only go home to sleep in frustration. In about 3 hours, I still have to go to the construction site to move bricks. On the way home, Song Ziyu couldn't help but feel worried. Half of the vacation has passed, but I have only made up 1/3 of my tuition and living expenses. Based on the current situation, the progress of my university career may be very difficult. While lost in thought, a police siren sounded ahead. Song Ziyu looked for the sound and saw a car overturning on the flower bed at an empty intersection, while dozens of meters away, there was a flesh and blood blurred person lying on the ground, unaware of life or death. Song Ziyu quickly ran over to take a look. Isn't the vehicle that caused the accident the Cayenne of the second emperor? Song Ziyu glanced at the person who was hit on the ground again and found it to be a young girl. The girl's facial features were covered in scratches, and her clothes and pants were also worn to varying degrees. Her body showed abnormal curvature, and blood stains dragged far away. Song Ziyu couldn't help but spit them out. This person is designated dead. At this point, the second-generation ancestor had already been controlled by the police, and the little sister in the same car was also frightened and crouched on the ground, whimpering and crying. The evil energy accumulated in Song Ziyu's heart dissipated upon seeing this scene. There is a cycle of karma and retribution. Calling you to drive under the influence of alcohol or not to hire a driver is all self-inflicted. It's just a pity that the little sister who helped her out of the predicament may have also caused trouble. There was such a serious traffic accident on the main road in the bustling city, and the handling speed was also very fast. Just as Song Ziyu was watching the excitement, ambulances transported the body of the deceased, and the vehicle causing the accident was towed away. The drunken second emperor was taken away by the police, waiting for him to be imprisoned. Song Ziyu continued walking towards his residence and accidentally discovered a black bracelet lying beside the flower bed not far from the body. Song Ziyu picked up the bracelet and observed it. The bracelet has a shape similar to a wrist guard, and it is very lightweight to handle. I don't know what material it is, but it's not gold or silver. Song Ziyu stuffed the bracelet into his pocket and continued to rush home. Returning to the rented-out house at 5:30 in the morning, Song Ziyu went to bed without brushing her teeth or washing her face. Ding ding ding, a sudden ringing of the phone woke Song Ziyu up, and the other end of the phone cursed, "Song Ziyu, what did you do? You didn't go to the construction site again?" Song Ziyu was surprised and rubbed his dry eyes to see the time, only to find that it was already 9:30 in the morning. "Don't panic, foreman. I'll be there soon." Song Ziyu quickly got out of bed. "Forget it, you don't need to come anymore. You have already been fired." The foreman's tone was extremely cold. "Don't." Song Ziyu quickly pleaded for mercy, but the other end had already hung up the phone. Song Ziyu was deeply regretful for losing his hard-earned job every minute, but there was not much he could do, so he could only lie in bed and daydream. In the midst of boredom, Song Ziyu took out a black bracelet and put it on for himself, then admired it. Just as Song Ziyu put on the bracelet, the black bracelet suddenly lit up with a strange light, and then a series of indifferent sounds echoed in my mind. New host detected, activating. Activation successful, binding in progress. Binding successful, do you want to proceed with the transfer? Transfer. What is being transmitted? Song Ziyu looked bewildered. "Do you want to proceed with the transfer?" the mechanical voice asked again. This voice seemed to have infinite magic, amplifying Song Ziyu's curiosity and making him unable to resist the urge to respond. By a stroke of fate, Song Ziyu said, "Teleport." The black bracelet bloomed with green light, and the entire rental house was instantly ignited by Bio. And then Song Ziyu was horrified to find himself appearing on a desert. Song from the previous second, Ziyu was still lying in the doghouse of his rented house, clutching the sour and smelly bed, but now he appeared on the endless yellow sand of the Gobi Desert. Damn it! After calming down, Song Ziyu quickly took out his phone and prepared to call the police, but the phone showed no signal. Song Ziyu panicked and thought to himself that it must be related to the black bracelet. At the first moment, Song Ziyu wanted to remove the bracelet, but it felt like it was welded to his hand and could not be removed no matter how much he tossed and turned. Song Ziyu had a sudden inspiration and shouted loudly, "Send me back." The mechanical sound echoed in my mind. Insufficient energy transmission failed, expected to charge for 12 hours. Song Ziyu was dumbfounded. "Do you want to stay in this place where birds don't poop for 12 hours? While daydreaming, a figure appeared from afar on the Gobi Desert. Song Ziyu was overjoyed and quickly ran towards the figure. It was so lucky to see a living person in this uninhabited area. Song Ziyu thought about finding someone to ask him where he had been teleported to. However, after running for 110 meters, Song Ziyu stood still, his face filled with joy and fear. I gradually saw clearly that the person in front of me was not a human at all. Running towards him all the way, it was clearly a decaying skeleton. The skull was getting closer, and Song Ziyu could see more clearly. This thing is pale all over, with its bones hanging horizontally and vertically, and its ribs swaying outside. The exposed organs have long dried up and hung black in the abdominal cavity, making it nauseating to look at. This terrifying skull swayed its head, with a bloodthirsty red light flashing in its deep sunken eye sockets. The skeleton ran towards this side at the speed of a human trot, neither too fast nor too slow. Song Ziyu suddenly realized that if he was caught up by this thing, his fate might be very miserable. Chapter 2. The Charm of a Sage Woman. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. What else can we do when facing the chasing skeleton? Song Ziyu turned around and ran. After running for a distance, Song Ziyu was horrified to find that the monster following behind him was still following. This guy also has great endurance. He runs so hard that his throat is smoking, but his speed doesn't decrease. Song Ziyu is desperate. If this continues, if I am not bitten to death by the monster behind me, I will also be exhausted to death. Just as Song Ziyu was mentally constructing how to counterattack, a figure suddenly emerged from the grass just a few meters beside him, crawling and rushing towards him. The sudden mutation startled Song Ziyu. Upon closer inspection, Song Ziyu screamed, "Mom!" If it weren't for seeing Song Ziyu with his own eyes, he would never have believed that there was such an ugly thing in the world. This guy still has some human features on his body, but the bloody mouth on his face that cracks to the roots of his ears is definitely not what humans should have. Song Ziyu has only seen this thing in movies. Song Ziyu's mentality collapsed and he fell to the ground with a thud. The cracked monster behind me pounced and bit with its mouth open. Song Ziyu rolled on the ground, narrowly avoiding the sharp mouthparts piercing from the monster's mouth. Cold hair standing upright. This sharp mouthpiece steel cone was inserted into the ground, and Song Ziyu had no doubt that if he hadn't dodged this attack, there would have been multiple holes in his body. Taking advantage of the gap between the tearing monster on the ground, Song Ziyu climbed up and continued to escape. However, the monster was very agile in its movements and turned to chase after it again. It's over. Song Ziyu was so frightened that he felt like he was about to explain himself here right away. A life-threatening moment. A black smoke and dust appeared ahead. Smoke and dust rushed from the sky, accompanied by the roaring sound of engines. Upon closer inspection, Song Ziyu discovered that a terrifyingly designed motorcycle had arrived car. The motorcycle had extremely black tires all over its body, and on its simple and rough body sat a knight wearing a crimson shirt. The knight grabbed the handle of the car with one hand, while the other hand held a wide-back knife that was over meters long. Seeing the dazzling blade, Song Ziyu's head buzzed and he completely lost his ability to think. The motorcycle passed by, and the knight's wrist trembled. The heavy broadback sword passed over him and then struck the neck of the cracked monster. A surge of blood surged into the sky, and the cracked monster's head rolled away like a ball, with its body plummeting to the ground. After completing this kill, the motorcycle rider drifted to the brakes and stopped steadily in front of Song Ziyu. Stepping on the foot brake, the knight leaped out of the car with a clear view of his protruding figure. The knight took off his helmet, revealing a head of red ear-length short hair, a melon-seed face with sharp eyebrows, apricot eyes with a graceful nose, and an irresistible aura between his eyebrows. How heroic! Song Ziyu had never seen such a confident woman before. "Kid, how did you get here from this wilderness?" the woman looked up and asked. "I don't know either," Song Ziyu said helplessly, spreading his hand. "You don't even know how you came here. You're such a bewildered person." The woman pursed her lips and added a touch of charm. Song Ziyu looked at the corpse on the ground and asked, "What kind of monster is this?" "Just an ordinary mutated zombie," the woman said calmly. "Mutant zombies." Song Ziyu felt weak under his feet and sat down on the ground. The woman looked at Song Ziyu disdainfully and said, "Look at your bear-like appearance, it's really embarrassing." Song Ziyu was dumbfounded and his mind was a mess. "Hello. Kid, I saved your life, should you pay some compensation?" Song Ziyu regained his senses, touched his pocket, and awkwardly said, "I don't have money." "Then you have to bring something valuable out, otherwise I won't care about you." The woman pointed to the skeleton running nearby. "I have nothing all over me. Except for this." Song Ziyu took out a small roll of toilet paper from his pocket. "Toilet paper." The woman's eyes lit up and her face blushed with excitement. Song Ziyu is dumbfounded. "A small roll of torn toilet paper, do you need it like this?" "Cough, this thing is good, it can be my reward." The woman seemed to realize her loss of composure and immediately regained her reserved demeanor. But her eyes never left the toilet paper from beginning to end. "Is this really okay?" Although Song Ziyu was unaware of the situation, he was also feeling guilty. In Song Ziyu's simple values, this small roll of toilet paper that almost made him wipe his butt is not enough to compensate for his life saving kindness. However, women seem to behave more awkwardly. Upon hearing her own question, the woman awkwardly said, "Toilet paper is indeed valuable. How about this? I'll help you solve a little trouble." As she spoke, the woman inserted a wide-back knife that was over 1 meter long back into the scabbard on the side of the motorcycle, and then grabbed the boomerang tied to the trunk. Walking to the front of the motorcycle with a boomerang, the woman aimed at the skeleton running 100 meters away. "Go!" The woman let out a coquettish moan, her body spinning like a top, and then her arms stretched out. In a standard frisbee throwing motion, the boomerang turned into a white flowing light and flew out. The next second, the skull's head shattered like a clay jar under the impact of the boomerang. Namely, even from a distance of 100 meters, you can hear a crisp clicking sound. The boomerang drew a beautiful arc in the air and then returned to the woman's hand. The whole process was completed in one go, leaving Song Ziyu stunned. "Alright, it's all right now, isn't it?" The woman smiled, her face full of charm adding a touch of charm. "How could you be so fierce?" Song Ziyu held back for a while before finally uttering a sentence. "Am I very fierce?" "Ha ha ha, just average, it's because you're too weak." The woman couldn't help but burst into laughter when she heard Song Ziyu's words. "What is this place? Am I still at Blue Star?" Song Ziyu asked. "Blue Star? I don't understand what you're talking about." "This is a wasteland, a place where birds don't poop," the woman replied. Song Ziyu realized that he might have traveled to a completely unfamiliar world. "How could you be here?" the woman asked. Song Ziyu sighed and said, "I don't know either. When I sleep in bed, that's all I need to do to blink my eyes." "You must have overdosed it." The red-haired woman spread out her hand and said, "All right, give me the toilet paper. I'll do it for you and take you on a trip to the nearest settlement. Is there any other village or town nearby?" Song Ziyu felt happy, and as long as he survived these 12 hours, he could go back. The woman replied, "The nearest settlement here is the Longshan settlement, with a straight line distance of several tens of kilometers." "Okay, deal." Song Ziyu stuffed the crumpled toilet paper into the woman's hand, fearing that the other party would retract. On the other hand, women hold toilet paper in their hands as if they are a treasure, carefully tucking it into the shoulder bag they carry with them. After completing this ritualistic act, the woman touched her short hair and put on her helmet again, then jumped onto the motorcycle and said to Song Ziyu, "Little brother, get on the motorcycle." Chapter 3. The Value of Toilet Paper. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Song Ziyu sat on the back seat of the motorcycle at the woman's signal. "Hold on tightly, otherwise you will bear the consequences," the woman said. "Hold on to where?" Song Ziyu asked. "Nonsense, of course my waist," the woman replied. There is such a good thing, and Song Ziyu's heart is filled with joy. This woman's figure and appearance are definitely first class, and her salty pig hands feel full of happiness. However, just as Song Ziyu was daydreaming, the woman spoke again, "Otherwise, I'll castrate you." Upon hearing these words, Song Ziyu trembled with fear and quickly moved back. A loud roar. The powerful thrust almost threw Song Ziyu out, and behind him, the yellow sand billowed, and the big motorcycle rode without a trace. This woman is so wild. Motorcycles run at lightning speed, with countless shrubs along the way. From time to time, figures can still be seen wandering on the Gobi Desert. Those figures are dull and aimless, but when the motorcycle approaches, they will catch up with them coincidentally. Song Ziyu was horrified to discover that these were all the monsters he had encountered before. If there were no big motorcycles, I would definitely not be able to walk out of this desert. What's going on? How could there be so many monsters? Song Ziyu exclaimed loudly, unable to avoid taking a bite of yellow sand. This is just a small scene, the woman responded calmly. Next, while communicating with women, Song Ziyu knew that he had traveled to a world that was almost on the brink of collapse, filled with terrifying mutated creatures. The civilization established by humanity had already collapsed, and only a few human settlements could ensure safety. The wilderness is already considered good. If you see the ruins of old cities, the crowds of corpses and dark monsters, you will know what despair is. When the woman said these words, her tone was filled with sadness. After bumping for dozens of kilometers, the motorcycle finally drove onto an abandoned road. After walking forward for more than 10 minutes, a town came into view. The town is built along the mountain, with a towering wall consisting of 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. From a distance, you can still see watchtowers and barbed wire on the wall. What kind of town is this? Song Ziyu said that this is the configuration of the prison. The motorcycle came to the bottom of the city. A small door opened under the thick wall, and near it, several men in tattered camouflage uniforms were stationed with guns. These rough men are all unkempt, and in Song Ziyu's world, the bricklayers on the construction site are 10 times cleaner than them. But Song Ziyu dared not make any mistakes, because the force of these men licking blood with their swords was palpitating, and they didn't carry a few lives on their bodies. When they saw a woman, everyone whistled. Suing Nan, you have become beautiful again. Wow, Suing Nan, where did you catch the little white face? Men seem to be very familiar with women, laughing and greeting each other. Mind your stinky mouths, otherwise I'll make you look for teeth everywhere. The woman took off her helmet and cursed, her short hair shining brightly in the sunlight. At this moment, the man leaning against the city gate sunbathing squinted his eyes and looked over. Suing Nan, there aren't many people who can get in your car. Who is this guy? It's none of your business, Zhang Dahu. Keep your guard and don't inquire about social affairs. The woman rudely retorted. Turns out this woman's name is Suing Nan. Song Ziyu silently remembered his name. The man who was scolded touched the sighing Hujazi and didn't say much, just gave Song Ziyu a few meaningful glances. This gaze made Song Ziyu's heart and hair flustered. Fortunately, at this moment, Suing Nan's engine car entered the city, and Song Ziyu finally got rid of the feeling of cutting flesh. After entering the city, Suing Nan said to Song Ziyu, "You get off the car, we've cleared our relationship." "You seem to enjoy it very much," said Song Ziyu. "Of course," Suing Nan said with a big smile, "I am also a well-known bounty hunter in several nearby settlements." Bounty hunter? Song Ziyu asked, "What profession is that?" Suing Nan's white eyes, "How come you're like an idiot?" "Of course, a bounty hunter is a bounty hunter. He licks blood with his blade, and will help whoever pays." "Do you make money?" Song Ziyu asked the most concerned question. "Of course you make money, but first you have to have a life flower." Suing Nan replied. Song Ziyu quickly asked, "Can I join in?" Suing Nan chuckled and said, "Stop teasing. You weak chicken can't eat this bowl of rice. Let's think about how to survive." After speaking, Suing Nan rode his bike and left. Song Ziyu felt lost. "By the way, take these money with you. There are messengers in the Longshan settlement. You can try writing a letter to your family and ask them to come and pick you up. I have to advise you not to wander in the wilderness in the future, as no one will save you next time." Suing Nan stopped and handed over a few crumpled banknotes. "Sister, you are really a good person." Song Ziyu was so moved that he couldn't help but realize that in this unfamiliar world, someone could treat him so well. Suing Nan couldn't help blushing when he heard Song Ziyu's words. "Oh, don't say that. I'm sorry, I left." Suing Nan waved his hand and rode his big motorcycle, disappearing into the chaotic and dirty streets. Longshan town is not big, and Suing Nan drove 3 or 2 turns to reach a shop. This shop called Dio Recycling is the stronghold of the bounty hunter organization in the Longshan settlement. After entering the store, Su Yingnan couldn't help but burst out laughing. The old man sitting behind the counter, lying at his desk repairing objects, helped the heavy frame and said, "What can make you so happy?" "Lao Gao, today I saved a kaizi and made a big profit, look." Su Yingnan took out the small roll of toilet paper and carefully placed it on the counter. Lao Gao raised his head and his eyes instantly became straight. Toilet paper. Lao Gao reached out his hand to touch it, but was slapped open by Su Yingnan. "Take care of your dirty hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Look at me excited." Lao Gao quickly washed his hands and then caressed the toilet paper with an intoxicated expression on his face. Typical pulp craftsmanship, with a pure white and dirt-free texture, and a soft and caring feeling. Oh my goodness, it's hard to imagine seeing such things again in my lifetime. The old man held the toilet paper and smelled and touched it, his thoughts gradually drifting. Such high-end toilet paper requires 100% natural wood pulp to produce raw materials. Young man, you may not know that in today's world, it is difficult to find suitable soil to plant trees that can turn into wood. It is too difficult. Su Yingnan took the conversation and said, "I can hear your words, Lao Gao. Of course, I know the soil is polluted. And due to acid rain. Lao Gao is about to start popularizing science again." Su Yingnan snatched the time and said, "Don't talk so much nonsense, return the things to me. Do you still want to go back when the thing reaches me?" "No way. I represent the organization to recycle this roll of toilet paper." The old man stood up, opened the safe behind him, and deftly pulled out 2 50-gram gold bars. "Old Gao, do you think I'm an idiot? Just 2 gold bars, you want to take this roll of toilet paper? Believe it or not, I smashed your shop." The gold bar was placed in front of Su Yingnan, but he became angry and felt that he had encountered a treacherous intelligence and his intelligence had been insulted. "Then you can make a price." The old man was also very pleased. Su Yingnan said, 3 gold bars, plus a needle to break through immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin is out of the question. That thing is the organization's strategic reserve, and I dare not use it. However, I can give you 4 gold bars, not more. 5. Su Yingnan gestured. "Deal." Lao Gao gritted his teeth and cut his teeth. After completing the transaction, Lao Gao didn't forget to ask, "Yingnan, where did you get this valuable but not marketable thing?" Su Yingnan said, "I saved a little chubby vegetable on the wilderness, he gave me the reward." This person's identity is not simple. Lao Gao reminded, "You must grasp Yingnan. After all, in this Longshan settlement, no one can get this quality of toilet paper." "What you said seems to make some sense," Su Yingnan pondered. Chapter 4. Longshan Ba Ge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 5. Cross-server chat and collaboration. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the sun was scorching hot. Song Ziyu sat slumped on the ground, listless. "There are still over 8 hours until the next teleportation, and I don't even have a place to stand in this isolated place." Just as he was lamenting, Song Ziyu's path was blocked by someone. The 4 homeless-looking guys looked at each other with ill intentions, and Song Ziyu inexplicably tightened his grip. "Finally found you, come with us." A homeless man grinned and revealed his rotten teeth. "Isn't it? You see, I don't have anything I can snatch for you, just let me go." Song Ziyu collapsed and grabbed his own hair. Who knows how these barbarians will treat themselves? "Stop talking nonsense, get your hands on me." The homeless man burst out laughing and reached out to grab it. In the wandering man's mind, Brother Ba only instructed him to catch alive and didn't mention how much he would survive. Even if he fought half to death, he would still be considered alive. Song Ziyu turned around and was about to run, but one foot kicked him in the buttocks and knocked him over. Run and break your legs again. The homeless man laughed heartily. Song Ziyu was extremely desperate, there was no room for struggle on his own. At this moment, a domineering reprimand came from behind. Whose leg are you breaking? Song Ziyu looked up and saw that her short red hair stood out in the sunlight. Su-ing Nan. Song Ziyu was so excited that he almost wiped away his tears. The person who came is Su-ing Nan. Su-ing Nan walked casually to Song Ziyu, completely ignoring the four great men. Do you dare to cause trouble in the settlement? Aren't you really afraid of being skinned and fed to zombies? Su-ing Nan asked. The homeless man led by him seemed very afraid of Su-ing Nan, but he still spoke up and threatened, Su-ing Nan, I know you are very powerful, but this person was requested by Brother Ba by name. Are you planning to argue with Brother Ba? Upon hearing this, Su-ing Nan raised his eyebrows and snorted coldly, don't use Zhao Yuanba to scare me. Just because you're afraid of him doesn't mean I'm afraid. The vagrants dare not take action and can only curse, after all, there are only so many familiar faces in the settlement, which one can provoke which one cannot. These guys have clear doors. In the end, the homeless man let out a few harsh words and walked away. Su-ing Nan looked at Song Ziyu with a smile on his face and said, you can do it. You got into trouble with Zhao Yuanba within an hour of coming to the settlement. I underestimated your ability to cause trouble. Song Ziyu got up from the ground and patted the soil on his body and said, you're wrong about me. I don't even know any Li Yuanba or Zhao Yuanba. Su-ing Nan said, let's get straight to the point. I don't know your background, but I think you're very unique. Song Ziyu muttered, your vision is probably flawed. Su-ing Nan continued, if it weren't for me just now, do you know the consequences? So, I think you need to hire a bodyguard. What do you think of me? Upon hearing this, Song Ziyu smiled bitterly, thinking that this pretty short-haired girl had mistaken herself for some big shot. I'm afraid I can't afford you. Song Ziyu said. Where would that be? My bodyguard fees are not high. Su-ing Nan looked incredulous. A person like you who is generous with your spending can't afford to pay a little bit, can you? Song Ziyu said with a bitter face, where am I so extravagant? How come I don't know? Don't pretend to be a little brother, your current situation is very dangerous. Zhao Yuanba has set his sights on you. Without my help, you would be in dire straits, said Su-ing Nan. Okay, tell me what you want. Song Ziyu was speechless and could only follow Su-ing Nan's words. Su-ing Nan smiled proudly and said that the bargaining lady is top-notch. Cough cough, my asking price is not high either. 2 rolls of toilet paper a week, the one you just gave me is fine. But I'll make a fool of myself and say it first. If there are any injuries or other losses, they need to be calculated separately. Ah! Song Ziyu almost dropped his chin in shock. Is that all? If you think it's too much, can we negotiate? Su-ing Nan saw Song Ziyu's expression of surprise and inwardly exclaimed, it's terrible. He might have been asking too much, right? Song Ziyu suppressed a painful expression and took half a day to recover. 2 packs of toilet paper are really too few, 3 packs, it must be 3 packs. Upon hearing this, Su-ing Nan was stunned for 3 seconds. Boss, it's impressive. Even if our contract is reached, I'll have someone draft a contract for you later. The top priority now is to help you handle another matter. What's up? Song Ziyu asked. Of course, it's about solving Zhao Yuanba's problem, said Su-ing Nan. Su-ing Nan pulled Song Ziyu to the villa where Zhao Yuanba lived. Zhao Yuan, get out of here. The girl roared at the top of her throat. Song Ziyu trembled and for no reason remembered Saipan. Isn't this Su-ing Nan? What are you doing at my house? The man with a mustache appeared on the balcony. I should be asking you, what are you sending someone to arrest my employer for? Su Yingnan crossed his hips, staring at Zhao Yuanba like a female tiger. Zhao Yuanba reacted and looked at Song Ziyu, then smiled and said, Su Yingnan, don't misunderstand. I have no ill intentions, I just heard that a wealthy guest has arrived in the settlement and I really want to meet him. After speaking, Zhao Yuanba made an invitation gesture. Su Yingnan looked curiously at Song Ziyu and thought to himself, what big eyes have you seen again? In the living room, everyone sat down. Su Yingnan stared at Zhao Yuan and said, tell me, what's going on? Zhao Yuanba smiled politely and his gaze toward Song Ziyu became even softer. This young man looks very familiar, isn't he new to the Longshan settlement? Does this have anything to do with you? Su Yingnan asked calmly. Zhao Yuanba clapped his hands, and a subordinate behind him brought up a plate covered in white cloth. Zhao Yuanba placed the plate in front of Song Ziyu and said, I, Zhao Yuanba, have a heart to make friends with young men. This is a little bit of a gesture of goodwill. Su Yingnan was disheveled and lifted the white cloth, only to find 2 thumb-sized golden lumps prominently placed on the plate. Song Ziyu's eyes widened as he looked at the golden bumps on the table. Before Song Ziyu could speak, Su Yingnan sneered and said, my little brother doesn't know you. Don't I know you yet? Zhao Yuanba is a master who eats people and doesn't spit out bones. Zhao Yuanba waved his hand and said, no, 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 Su Yingnan is wrong about me. In fact, I am very kind and willing to share. I am only cruel to the poor because they have no value other than being squeezed, but this little brother is different. Zhao Yuanba laughed and said, a person who can easily take out half a freshly baked industrial cigarette is not an ordinary person. And you exchange such a valuable item for a meal of sweet potato jerky. This kind of inhumane behavior is something that ordinary people cannot do. Song Ziyu was trembling all over, and when he squatted in the big room, he didn't finish smoking half of his cigarette. He stayed behind purely to save money. Upon hearing Zhao Yuanba's words, Su Yingnan, who had always been steady, no longer remained calm. With a flick of his eyebrows and a bite of his silver teeth, Su Yingnan stared at Song Zi with a melancholic gaze. There are only a few big characters on his face that say, useless things. At this point of conversation, Song Ziyu completely understood what was going on. So Song Ziyu asked Zhao Yuanba, what are your thoughts? Zhao Yuanba patted the table and said, okay, it's satisfying and fast enough. Then I'll be frank. Your Excellency is so generous, I'm sure he must have a very rough path. Is there any way to get rich? Take me with you, older brother. After thinking for a moment, Song Ziyu asked, what do you lack? Zhao Yuanba exclaimed excitedly upon hearing this, the Longshan settlement is short of everything, including water, electricity, food, and all the necessities of life. Su Yingnan timely answered, the most scarce thing is still salt. That's right. Zhao Yuanba's eyes lit up. Longshan and several nearby settlements do not produce salt. If you want to buy salt, you must buy it at a high price from traders. Those guys are the real wolves, tigers, and leopards. If you can get salt, young brother, we can make a fortune. Okay, I'll try to be responsible for handling the goods. Song Ziyu had a bold idea. You are responsible for the source of goods, I will distribute them. Zhao Yuanba agreed. How to calculate this profit? Song Ziyu asked. That must be 5 or 5. Zhao Yuan said arrogantly. Fart. Su Yingnan scolded, Zhao Yuanba, you really flatter yourself. Although you are the number 1 person in the Longshan settlement, you are not the only one in the settlement. Without you, Xiao Song can cooperate with others, but without Xiao Song, you can't do business. Speaking of which, Su Yingnan changed his domineering posture and spoke softly to Song Ziyu, little brother, on behalf of the Bounty Hunter Association, I am cooperating with you to use the channels of the Bounty Hunter to distribute goods. We will divide the profits into 4 to 6 parts, you 6 and we 4. Upon hearing these words, Zhao Yuanba became anxious and saw him trembling and slapping his desk, saying, divide the bill by 3 or 7. Are you sincere enough? Song Ziyu had already fallen into a state of confusion, unable to say a word for a long time. However, it is his expressionless demeanor that makes Su Yingnan and Zhao Yuanba both feel that the Shaosong city mansion is quite deep, as if the vast ocean is unpredictable. After a long time, Song Ziyu finally regained his composure and said, since you have such sincerity, let's cooperate and give it a try. Upon hearing this, Zhao Yuanba rubbed his hands and asked, so, when will you start supplying the goods, little brother? Chapter 6. First Barrel of Gold. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Give me a few days, I'll make arrangements, said Song Ziyu. No problem. Zhao Yuanba was overjoyed. He didn't expect Song Ziyu to agree so readily, which was unexpected. Song Ziyu didn't hesitate either. He reached out and grabbed the golden lumps from the plate, putting them into his pocket. Brother Ba, this can be considered as the deposit for the first batch of goods. If the business doesn't succeed, I'll give you back this gold. That's a learned statement. In Zhao Yuanba's view, Song Ziyu gave himself hope, but also made him feel a bit unstable. He seemed to get on the car but didn't get on it. This is a top-level language strategy, and he needs to control himself psychologically. Is it difficult for this kid to still collude with other partners? Zhao Yuanba speculates. Little brother, I can pat my chest and assure you that in this Longshan settlement, you can cooperate with me with 100 hearts, and as for the other guys, no one is worthy of me in terms of character. Zhao Yuanba said confidently. Little did they know. Song Ziyu felt even more guilty. Reaching out for gold is already the greatest courage in my life. What if I can't go back? If you can't go back, you can't make a deal. If you can't make a deal, you have to bear the risk of default. The guy in front of me is obviously not a good person, so I spoke up to leave myself a way out. Fortunately, the transaction was successfully negotiated, and with the escort of Su Yingnan, Song Ziyu walked out of Zhao Yuanba's villa without any danger. Where are you going now? Su Yingnan asked. Help me find a place to live, just a single room, said Song Ziyu. No problem, I happen to have a house for you in the Longshan settlement, which is much safer than living elsewhere. But you have to pay more. Su Yingnan said. Keep accounts and pay your rent together with your salary. Song Ziyu wiped the sweat off her forehead and said to herself, you really add money, sister. Song Ziyu followed Su Yingnan to a 3-story small Western-style building in the inner city. The red brick and white tile decoration of the small Western-style building is unique, and the windows of the 3-story building are filled with green plants, which is out of place with the image of the residential bunker tower. Here we are, this is my home, Su Yingnan said. Although it's not as big as Zhao Yuanba's villa, it's still comfortable to live in. Looking at this small Western-style building, Song Ziyu was so shocked that he couldn't speak. A standalone small building of this scale, placed in Henan City where one lives, is not as large as millions cannot be bought. Sister Jia Qian turned out to be a little rich woman. Upon arriving at the room on the 3rd floor, Song Ziyu carefully closed the door and lay in bed, taking a deep sleep. Finally, he stayed up until around 10 p.m., feeling uneasy. He knocked on the mysterious bracelet and silently recited, "Go home," in his heart. Charging completed, do you want to proceed with the transfer? The sound of ethereal machinery rang out again, causing Song Ziyu's heart to beat. Transmission. Song Ziyu exclaimed in his heart. The green light flickered, and the scenery before Song Ziyu changed. In the blink of an eye, he returned to his rented house. Looking at the dirty and messy dog house, Song Ziyu couldn't help but smile bitterly, as it was not as good as Su Yingnan's home. Opening the window, the sky outside was clear and the sun was shining brightly. Song Ziyu was surprised. Why wasn't it at night? Hurry up the bedside alarm clock to check the time. 10:07 a.m. Song Ziyu suddenly realized that the time here seemed to pause throughout his journey. This major discovery shocked Song Ziyu immensely. How was this achieved? Song Ziyu didn't have much professional knowledge to explain this strange phenomenon, but the result excited him. This proves that I can use 1 day as 2 days. Song Ziyu quickly touched his pants pocket, and 2 golden bumps were still there, heavy and reassuring. Time waits for me, the life of a plain merchant starts from this moment. Song Ziyu took 3 minutes to take a shower, changed into a handsome short outfit, combed her hair into an adult shape, and then kicked out the door carrying a backpack for tutoring. The first problem I need to solve is to monetize gold. Although banks are the best place for gold recycling, Song Ziyu did not consider them. As a high school graduate, it is impossible to explain the source of gold. If you act recklessly in a bank, it may cause unexpected trouble. So, Song Ziyu chose Dajin Street. Hanan City Flower and Grass Lane. Dajin Street is an old street specialized in buying and selling gold, silver, and old artifacts. There are more than 10 streets here. Pawnshops and antique shops are both engaged in buying at a low price and selling at a high price. Song Ziyu strolled down the Dajin Street and ultimately chose a shop called Wangji Antique. The reason why Song Ziyu chose this inconspicuous store was because he had some considerations. Just now, he saw with his own eyes that a drug addict-looking guy sneaked into the store, sold something to the boss, and then left satisfied with the money. In Song Ziyu's view, if a Taoist friend like him can successfully trade, he should have no problem. With a try-it mentality, Song Ziyu walked into Wangji Antique Store. The store is very small, and you can see it all at a glance. The boss is a middle-aged man with a fat head and big ears. The uncle is sitting behind the counter with a bare chest and a belly, watching Wang Xinling dance "Love You" on a tablet while following by Xian. Cough, cough. Song Ziyu greeted politely. Uncle Peng scanned with radar-like eyes, then squinted and said, "Little brother, what's up? I don't sell Gujun's review materials here." Song Ziyu was startled, and the fat man's eyes were very sharp. "I want to sell something, do you accept it here?" Song Ziyu asked tentatively. "Little brother, what are you selling?" "I don't accept anything except books and diplomas." The chubby man became interested and sat up from his chair. Song Ziyu took out a golden lump from his pocket and placed it in front of the fat man. "This is..." The chubby man's face changed slightly, and he reached out to pick up a golden lump and weighed it in his hand. "This is gold," Song Ziyu said straightforwardly. "Where did you come from?" The fat man looked at Song Ziyu with suspicion. "Do you accept it or not?" "If not, I'll find another house," said Song Ziyu. "Okay, but I need to verify the authenticity," the chubby man said. "You can do whatever you want." Song Ziyu became nervous again. The fat man placed the golden lump in a quartz crucible, took out a flame spray gun, and began heating the gold. As is well known, the melting point of gold is 1063 degrees Celsius. When the flame spray gun heats gold at a high temperature of 1000 degrees Celsius, real gold will become increasingly shiny until it becomes transparent, while fake gold will turn black and even melt directly. Looking at the shimmering golden bumps, the fat man put down his spray gun and said, "It's gold, that's right." Upon hearing these words, Song Ziyu felt a great sense of peace in his heart. "How do you sell it?" Song Ziyu asked with a suppressed voice. The chubby man took out his phone and checked it, saying, "Brother, today's international gold price is 420 yuan per gram, but I can only give you 410 yuan. I will charge a handling fee of 10 yuan per gram. Brother, don't mind this 10 yuan. I will take on any risks of gold after you take it over. It's not your fault to find the king, so you won't be at a loss." "Sure." Song Ziyu understood the meaning of the fat man and readily agreed. 2 golden lumps were weighed on the scale, totaling 99.38 grams, with a discount of 40,735 yuan. Do you want WeChat transfer or cash, brother? The chubby man asked with a smile. Cash, Song Ziyu replied. No problem, you wait. The fat man returned to the inner room and soon walked out, holding 4 stacks of money in his hand. The banknotes were brand new, with a stack of 10,000 yuan and bank paper ties tied to them. In addition, there were 800 yuan bills lying quietly on top of the money bricks. Brother, since you're young, I won't take advantage of you anymore. Here's 40,800 yuan, please take it. Yes, you came with a backpack on your back, professional. The fat man has a smiling face. Song Ziyu deftly stuffed 4 stacks of money into his backpack, then took out 300 yuan bills and patted them on the table, saying to the fat man, thank you for your trouble. Take them and have tea. My younger brother is very particular. If you have this kind of business, remember to contact him. The chubby man smiled even more kindly. Yes, I will. Song Ziyu muttered and quickly left the antique shop. Stepping out of the antique store, she pulled on the shoulder strap of her backpack and felt the weight inside. Song Ziyu couldn't help but laugh. Realizing things was too smooth, which made Song Ziyu couldn't help but admire his wise choice. All kinds of expected bad outcomes didn't happen, and the money was just there. However, this self-feeling was good and lasted for about 2 minutes. Song Ziyu walked out of the flower and grass alley at the corner, and the LED screen above the Grand Jean Dashing Gold shop across the street scrolled with subtitles. Today's recycled gold price is 450 yuan per gram. I'll hit your lungs. Song Ziyu couldn't help but burst out in rough language. Chapter 7. The Voice of Debt Repayment. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Although he was tricked by an unscrupulous businessman, the flaws did not hide the truth. Today's gains are enough to make Song Ziyu happy. It's the first time Song Ziyu has so much money, growing up so big. Song Ziyu rushed straight to the supermarket and swept across the shelves. The retail price of a bag of 500 grams of refined salt was 4 yuan per bag. Song Ziyu cleared the counter directly, causing the supermarket staff to be taken aback. They couldn't help but ask if your home wanted salted meat. Song Ziyu gave a mysterious smile and packed all the salt away. The total price of 122 kilograms of salt was 488 yuan. Song Ziyu paid quickly and then carried it back to the rental house on his shoulders. Next, Song Ziyu found a sealed snake skin pocket, which was the kind favored by migrant workers who went south to work. This thing can be used to hold cotton quilts or clothes. It can also be used to hold people and evade tickets at the Spring Festival travel train station. Its large capacity is easy to carry, making it a must-have for home and travel. Unpack all the salt, then pour it all into the snake skin pocket, and finally pack the snake skin pocket with sealing glue. It was not Song Ziyu's unnecessary actions, but intentional actions. The packaging tape of table salt has the brand name, production location, and contact number, which can be seen by discerning people. Song Ziyu doesn't want to cause trouble for himself. Snake skin pockets are different. The design of the woven bag is simple and unadorned, and the plastic material is also nowhere to be found. Even if Xiao Yuanba wants to find any clues, he can only find them. After packing, Song Ziyu let out a deep sigh and waited for the time travel bracelet to be fully charged before returning to deliver to Xiao Yuanba. Lying in bed, Song Ziyu was daydreaming. The first transaction went so smoothly, but what else did he do next to sell it? Well, rapeseed oil and white sugar are good choices. Rice and noodles seem to be fine, but they are too heavy and difficult to carry by oneself. Cigarettes and betel nuts are also good, but the cost is higher than oil and salt. When the dream of becoming rich reached its second stage, the phone rang. On the other end of the phone came the panicked voice of the little girl. Big brother, Aunt Chen has come to collect debts again and scolded very badly. What should we do? Upon hearing this, Song Ziyu was surprised. Aunt Chen, whom she knew herself, was a former colleague of her mother. She remembered that at the beginning of the year, she couldn't raise enough money for her tuition, and her mother even borrowed money from Aunt Chen. In theory, Aunt Chen comes from a wealthy family and shouldn't make things difficult for her own family. Don't worry, I'll come back immediately to check the situation, Song Ziyu advised. Putting down the phone, Song Ziyu couldn't handle the salt anymore and went out carrying a backpack. My mother lives in the surrounding counties and towns of Honan City, which is half an hour's drive from my rented house. I moved out of the house for the convenience of going out to work. There are short-distance buses at the bus station, but in order to save time, Song Ziyu made a breakthrough by stopping a taxi on the street. Master, Yuanta Street in Muxian County, the location of the old water tower. I'm in a hurry, please drive faster, urged Song Ziyu. The old taxi driver chuckled and said, in all these years, you're the first person to tell me to drive fast, young man. Tie your seat belt. Song Ziyu looked at the driver, and the man with a Shenting-like face had a deep gaze like Schumacher returning from skiing. Suddenly, Song Ziyu realized that the matter was not simple and quickly grabbed onto the seat belt. As expected. The old driver started in third gear and turned the steering wheel with one hand while giving fuel, creating a lively push-back feel for Formula racing with Xiaoli iron. About 20 minutes later, Song Ziyu arrived downstairs at his own house. Muxian is an old county town, and Yuanta Street is also an old street. In the 1990s, red brick tube houses were built one after another, looking crowded. Song Ziyu quickly walked through the familiar corridor and appeared in front of his own window. My mother was lying in bed, sleeping soundly, while my little sister was doing homework at the only table in the living room. The dim light at home reflected decadence and depression, causing negative emotions to spread. Little sister, Song Ziyu whispered to Song Sini, afraid of waking her mother up. 8-year-old Song Sini lifted her head, her flawless face revealing a crescent-like smile. Big brother, you're back. The little sister opened the door. Song Ziyu called his little sister to the hallway outside the door and asked, "Where's Aunt Chen?" Said the speaker. The little girl replied, "After the commotion, she left. It's been several times since we didn't have money to repay her, so she comes back every 3 to 5 to curse. You study hard at home, I'll take care of it." Song Ziyu touched her head. The little girl nodded obediently. Song Ziyu chased after her and indeed found Aunt Chen, who was repairing the Great Wall, not far from the mahjong parlor. "Oh, it's Xiao Song, Santiao." Aunt Chen lifted her eyelids and quickly lost interest in chatting. "Aunt Chen, take a step to speak." Song Ziyu whispered. "Just say what you want here, don't delay me playing cards, Wudong." Aunt Chen was very impatient. Song Ziyu asked directly, "How much money does our family owe you? You can tell us the number." "Oh, what's wrong? Why are you asking this?" Aunt Chen slammed her mahjong on the table, her eyes staring like copper bells. The other people in the mahjong parlor looked over with great interest. Song Ziyu was not intimidated by Chen Ruhua's attitude, but instead spoke softly, "Aunt Chen, I don't mean anything else. It's just that you come to my house every now and then to curse, which is not a way to make a living. So I want to ask you how much money my family owes you in total, so that I can repay it for my mother." Did you hear that? Su Quan's son has made a name for himself. He's not even grown enough to stand up for his mother. Aunt Chen raised her voice 8 degrees and shouted out. Many people in the mahjong parlor are neighbors living nearby, so they naturally know about the situation at Song Ziyu's house. When they hear Chen Ruhua shout, some people start to laugh with ill intentions. Of course, some people kindly remind, "Chen Ruhua, don't make things difficult for orphans and widows." Unexpectedly, this kind accomplice directly ignited Chen Ruhua's anger. "Damn it! Chen Ruhua pushed down the mahjong in front of her and cursed, "Why don't you speak when you're standing and talking? Why don't you keep quiet when borrowing money? Now come out and be a good person. I'm most annoyed by you, a cat crying and a mouse pretending to be kind." The person being scolded wilted their head and dared not answer, while others laughed even more joyfully. Song Ziyu stood in the mahjong parlor, quietly waiting for Chen Ruhua to scold her completely before continuing, "Aunt Chen, it's not right for our family to owe you money. I apologize to you." Chen Ruhua rudely interrupted, "Apologizing is useless. Xiao Song, it wasn't me who taught you. If apologies are useful, the police don't have to shoot murderers every year." Song Ziyu touched his head and felt a lot of pain. This woman is definitely top-notch in cursing, and she is not a match for her. Song Ziyu took a deep breath and asked loudly, "How much money do I owe you from my family? Are you telling me?" Chen Ruhua seemed to have been suppressed by Song Ziyu's aura, and the sound of the mahjong parlor also decreased significantly. "Is this useful when you ask?" Chen Ruhua said slowly, "It's not much difference, it's only 28,000 yuan. If you want to pay it back now, give me 25,000 yuan, and our two families will be settled." However, Chen Ruhua said with a sarcastic expression, "The question is, can you get 20,000 yuan from Xiao Song? As far as I know, your mother is still borrowing money from you to pay for college tuition." Upon hearing these words, Song Ziyu's heart ached and he could hardly hold it. "Mom, my mom. Being seriously ill and constantly worried about one's future." Song Ziyu's face gradually twisted. However, Song Ziyu's expression was misunderstood by Chen Ruhua. "What's going on? Are you scared?" Chen Ruhua sneered, "What ability do you have as a high school student to take over 20,000 yuan to pay off your debts? You insist on coming here to embarrass yourself. If I had to tell you, you would be truly ashamed." After speaking, Chen Ruhua looked down on the mahjong table like a holy fighter, grinning and saying, "Song Ziyu, it's not that I look down on you. If you can make money, I'll eat this mahjong table in front of so many people. I'll do what Chen Ruhua says, not to scare people." The mahjong hall was filled with laughter. Chen Ruhua also smiled, ecstatic. Amidst laughter, Song Ziyu took off his backpack, slowly opened the zipper, and took out piles of money. Chapter 8. She has never eaten spicy noodles before. You are listening at novel full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 9. Refined salt. Refined salt. You are listening at novel full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 10. Gradually entering a better era. You are listening at novel full.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator.